Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're diving into the world of iPhone urban legends,
Hmm.
specifically ones that have popped up on Chinese social media.
Oh, wow.
It's fascinating how these tech rumors grab everyone's attention all over the world,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to Apple.
Hmm.
But aside from just being entertaining,
Right.
they really give us some insight into our hopes and fears about technology.
They really do. It's kind of like modern folklore, you know? Shows just how much these devices are part of our lives.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so first up from our research is the microwave charging legend.
Oh, yeah.
This one says you can fully charge your iPhone
Okay.
by putting it in the microwave for a minute.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Really
can
good.
you believe people actually believe this?
I mean, it sounds a little far-fetched, but
It's kind of funny,
yeah.
but also, yikes.
Yeah, it's a little scary to think about.
Right. Like, what could happen? Really shows how misinformation can spread.
Exactly. And the potential consequences, especially with, electronics and appliances.
Absolutely. Now, this one was actually more popular in the West,
Oh, interesting.
which I thought was kind of interesting. Shows how rumors can change depending on the culture.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Okay, next up is a less dangerous but still questionable fix.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the rice bowl fix?
I have.
So this one is the idea that if your iPhone gets wet,
Uh,
you can dry it out by putting it in a bowl of rice.
the classic rice bowl remedy.
Yeah, I remember this from way before smartphones.
Right. Like back in the day.
So it's been around for a while. There is some logic to it, though.
Yeah, rice does absorb moisture.
Right, and it's funny, in the source material, there was this whole thing about eating raw rice versus raw dough,
Really?
which reminded me of all those crazy internet challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, back to the rice bowl.
Yeah.
Apple actually officially denies this works.
I didn't know that.
And newer iPhones are supposed to be waterproof anyway.
That's a good point.
So, yeah, no need to waste your rice. Speaking of Apple trying to control the story around their products, yeah, remember when the Apple Watch was first announced? Everyone thought it was going to be called the iWatch?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I remember that. There are even jokes that the presenter made a typo on the slides.
I remember those too.
But the real reason is actually more strategic.
Oh,
Apple didn't own the iWatch domain name.
that makes sense. They're super protective of their brand and trademarks.
Exactly. They probably wanted to avoid a legal battle.
Yeah, probably a good call. It
It's
makes
just-
you realize there's so much going on behind the scenes.
Right. So much we don't see. Even something simple like a product name can involve all sorts of legal stuff.
Exactly. It's like a puzzle,
Yeah.
and we're trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. And sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one, even if it's less exciting than all the rumors.
True, true. Okay, ready for a more controversial one?
Hit me with it.
Let's talk about the iPhone slowdown conspiracy.
Oh, that's a good one.
This one claims that Apple purposely slows down older iPhones
Right.
to make people buy the new ones.
I've heard that one.
It's a popular one, for sure.
It is.
The crazy thing is, there's a Harvard study that shows a spike in iPhone slow searches right when a new iPhone comes out.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So there's actual data on that.
There is,
That-
but correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation.
Right, that's true.
Another study by a tech firm found no proof of intentional slowdown.
So what's going on then?
Right. Well, maybe it's just our own anticipation for the new features.
You mean like we want the new one so bad that our old one feels slow?
Exactly. A kind of mass perception bias, maybe? Think about it. Have you ever felt like your old iPhone was lagging right before a new one came out?
That's an interesting question. I'll have to think about that.
It really makes you think how much our expectations can affect our experiences.
It does, even with something like how well our phone works.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. Like we just automatically want the newest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and as soon as it's out, the one we have suddenly feels old.
Our brains are strange, huh?
They really are. But okay, let's move on to our last urban legend for this deep dive.
Okay.
This one really gets to the core of how we feel about technology.
All right.
It's all about data collection concerns.
Yeah. The question of, is Big Brother watching? Or I guess in this case, is our iPhone listening?
Right. This one is about the fear that Apple is using Touch ID and Face ID, not just for security, but to secretly collect our biometric data.
This really hits on a bigger worry people have about data privacy and surveillance.
Definitely. And it's a valid worry these days with all the tech we use. I
For
mean,
sure.
remember that story in the source material
Yeah.
about the person who was just talking about wanting a cat,
Yeah.
and then they started seeing cat food ads everywhere online?
Right. Even though they never searched for it.
It's so creepy. I've totally had those moments where I'm like, hold on, how did they know I was thinking about that?
It's like, are those microphones always listening?
I know. Even when our phones are off.
It's kind of freaky. It's like a digital version of feeling like someone's watching you.
Right. But this time it's our phones that might be watching us.
Yeah. The thought of our devices collecting all this info about us without us knowing, and then maybe even using it in ways we don't like, it's kind of unsettling.
It really is. It goes way beyond just those targeted ads, too. What if this data gets into the wrong hands? Or what if it's used to manipulate us without us even realizing it?
That's a scary thought.
It is. But I mean, these are just urban legends, right?
Right. We don't know for sure if any of this is actually happening.
But even if they're not all true, they make us think about the trade-offs we're making.
Yeah, like the convenience of having all this tech.
And being constantly connected.
But at what cost?
Exactly. We need to be more aware of the possible downsides.
Absolutely. It's good to be skeptical and ask questions about all this technology we use.
Definitely. Not everything you read online is true, right?
Right. And sometimes, even these crazy rumors can lead us to interesting discoveries.
Oh, yeah.
Like how that whole rice bowl fix thing points back to when our gadgets were much simpler.
True. It's a blast from the past.
Makes you wonder what kind of tech myths we'll have in the future.
I know, right? What'll they come up with next?
It's like we're constantly writing new chapters in this story of us and technology.
Yeah.
Each chapter shows our new worries, our hopes, and how we're trying to deal with this digital world.
Well said. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into iPhone urban legends.
That was fun.
It was. We covered some wild stuff. We talked about some pretty crazy ideas today, from microwaving your phone.
Yeah. Please don't.
Please don't try that to the rice bowl fix.
Right. An oldie but a goodie.
And who could forget about the Apple Watch naming saga?
Yeah. Everyone thought it was going to be the iWatch for sure.
And then there's those data collection worries. Those phantom cat food ads still kind of freak me out.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else is going on behind the scenes.
What other tech myths are hiding out there in the digital world?
Right. It really shows that even though we think we're so tech savvy, it's always good to be a little skeptical.
When curious, never stop asking questions.
Exactly. So as we wrap things up,
Yeah.
we want to hear from you. What are some of your favorite tech myths or urban legends?
Have you ever fallen for a really convincing rumor?
Or maybe even tried the rice bowl trick?
Share your stories with us.
Because these stories, they're more than just myths. They show how fascinated we are by technology.
Yeah, and how we try to understand this digital world we live in.
So stay curious out there, folks. Remember, not everything you read online is true.
That's right. And until next time,
Happy deep diving.
bye everyone.